Hello and welcome to the Run Testers. My name's Nick, and in this video we're going to be comparing the Asics Superblast and the Saucony Kinvara Pro. So the Kinvara Pro and the Superblast are both big max stack shoes that are designed to do a little bit of everything really. They fit into the super trainer category of shoes, and as such they come with very high price tags. The Asics Superblast costs £195 or $200, whereas the Kinvara Pro is £200 or $180. The Superblast is quite a light shoe despite being a very big one. It's 251 grams or 8.8 ounces in my UK size 9, whereas the Kinvara Pro is 303 grams or 10.7 ounces in the same size. They both have an 8mm drop, but with the Superblast, the stack height is 45.5mm at the heel and 37.5 at the forefoot. With the Kinvara Pro, it's 42mm at the heel and 34mm at the forefoot. So they both have dual density midsoles, and with the Superblast, you've got a big top layer of FF Turbo, that's Asics' best foam, the stuff used on the Metaspeed series, and then a thinner layer of the FF Blast Plus foam you see on things like the Magic Speed and lots of shoes actually. It's a foam they use across their range, and it just gives a slightly firmer, more durable base to the shoe. You've got a mesh upper with some padding around the heel. It's a pretty lightweight job all round. There are sidewalls of foam your foot sits within, and an internal heel counter to try and add some stability to what is a very big shoe. It's also quite wide. And then on the outsole, you've got AHA Plus rubber, used fairly sparingly, but it does cover the key impact areas on the shoe. There is some exposed foam there, and actually even little pockets of gaps that you can see through the FF Blast Plus layer. And with Saucony, their midsole again is dual density. The top layer is Power Run PB. Again, it's the foam used on Saucony's racers, well, the Saucony Endorphin Pro racers anyway. The Endorphin Elite uses the Power Run HG foam. Then the bottom layer is Power Run, and you've also got a Power Run Plus sock liner. So 3 layers of Power Run in total. The Superblast doesn't have a plate in it, but with the Kinvara Pro, you have a 3/4 length carbon plate running from around here to the front of the shoe, and you've got Saucony's speed roll geometry going on as well to create a nice fluid ride. The upper has a lot of little plastic overlays around the front there. Again, you've got good padding at the heel, an internal heel counter, small sidewalls of foam to create some stability in a very big shoe. And then there's no outsole at all on the Kinvara Pro. You've got the Power Run foam that's been molded to create a tread there, so the grip is still pretty good, but you don't have any rubber on the bottom there to increase the durability at all. Okay, I am now joined by Tom to talk about the fit of the two shoes. Tom, can you give me your impressions of the fit?
Yes, so these are both UK size 8s. I'm a UK size 8. The Superblast I have found to be very comfortable. Nice bit of room in the forefoot. Quite plush. All round really comfortable shoe. Kinvara Pro, pretty similar. I'd probably say I didn't find the Kinvara Pro as comfortable. It's probably a little bit more restrictive for me, but I mean, I'd still stick to my size in both of them.
Fair enough. Yeah, I have my normal UK size, which is a UK 9. With these two brands, that's a US 10. It's the same size I have in all the brand shoes from Asics and Saucony, and yeah, no problems at all. Fits me really well. Good amount of room. The Superblast is quite roomy in the toe box. Sometimes Asics gets a bit tight with some of its racier shoes, but this has got a good amount of room up front. Good hold around the midfoot and heel. No concerns with either in my normal running shoe size. Moving on to the run test then. So these are two massive shoes, loads of cushioning underfoot. Feel quite different though, it's fair to say, Tom. What have you been, your impression of these two shoes on the run?
Well, the two shoes that I've had very, very different experiences from the off, basically. So when I first picked up the Superblast and started testing it, I was the first run tester to get hold of this over quite near Christmas, actually. Just after
I was bragging about that. It's weird.
Yeah, well, you know, I don't often get things before you lots. Nice to actually have something to talk about. So I started wearing it and I was instantly impressed by this shoe. I thought it was really fun, versatile shoe. It's a lovely cruiser. The cushioning is quite nice, but also has a little bit of pop in it. Not loads, but a little bit. It's just a great versatile shoe, and I stopped using it a while back because I had loads of other shoes to test. And recently for Berlin Marathon training, I picked it up again and started using it for some longer runs. And it is as good as I remember. It's just a lovely shoe to wear. You can use it for easy runs. You can use it for tempo runs. And I think the thing about the midsole foam is it's not really firm, but it does have a nice bit of kick to it as well. So you can pick up the pace quite nicely in it. Absolutely love the Superblast. I think it's one of the best shoes that's come out. Did it come out this year? End of last year, this year.
End of last year, yeah. I think I'd echo a lot of that all round. Like, it's got the big stack of foam, but it's really lightweight. It's ridiculously light for what it is. I think mine's like 250 grams in a UK 9, which really changes the feel of a shoe that's this big. If you're not looking at it, it doesn't feel that big. And I think, yeah, it's really versatile. I've loved using it for lots. I think it's at its best for those long runs. Like you say, it's not got the softest, sinking, bouncing feeling as you might expect given the size of it, but it does have a little bit of oomph there. It's quite stiff, so you can get a good bit of pace going through it. I've gone down the track in the shoe. I've done a really horrible session doing, I think, like 6 sets of 5-minute reps at a certain heart rate, and really was pushing hard to get the heart rate up to those levels. And it is really versatile. I don't love it for all out speed stuff, but you can do it in it, and then everything else I do love it for. Like, it's really such a good cruiser. Like, and despite it is a little bit ungainly to look at, and it's not actually the smoothest shoe in the world, but it still feels pretty smooth, and it's got so much going for it across a variety of runs, which all is what is meant to be true of the Kinvara Pro as well. That's, a shoe that's also got a lot going on in the midsole, big high stack plate in there as well, but it doesn't quite add up to the same kind of experience on the run for me. How about you, Tom?
Yeah, so I think when we first reviewed the Kinvara Pro, I really didn't like it at all. When I was first testing it, I was actually coming off of an injury, I'd just come off an injury, so I wasn't that fit at the time, and I think that really made it not work for those runs. I just didn't enjoy those runs at all. It felt very heavy. It felt very clunky. I think I said it felt a bit like a clog in the review.
You did call it a clog.
And every time I ran in it over that period, I felt the same thing. And I know other people have reviewed it and said that it's actually quite a good shoe. I just couldn't get my head around it when I first started testing it. Now, after I've been doing marathon training for a while and I'm quite fit, I've tried it again, and to give it a little bit of a second chance. I do think it's, now that I'm a bit fitter and I'm running faster, and my sort of base pace for easy runs is probably a little bit faster, and I'm a little bit easy, find it a little bit easier to do those runs. I do think it's a bit better than what I initially thought. It's definitely better when you pick up the pace a bit, but still, I still think it's a heavy, very firm, clunky shoe, and just when you compare it to most of the other options out there, I just don't think it's anywhere near versatile or as enjoyable as the other options.
Yeah, I think my view's probably slightly softened on it over time, but it doesn't really mean I've come around on it. I still don't think this is a really great shoe. I think the impact of the best foam in this shoe, which is that thin layer of Power Run BB foam, is really muted by the thick layer of Power Run underneath, the insole, everything about it. And it is really big and heavy. So it's got a decent rocker to it. And you can find a groove with it at times, and you just roll through and it feels okay. I think it's okay for those easy runs, but it's not brilliant for them. I still would prefer the Superblast. I think it's a more comfortable shoe. And when I did try and pick up the pace in the shoe, running on a similar, actually exact same spot near me, trying to do a run to heart rate in the shoe, it just felt just not getting much back. I really didn't think I could engage the plate in it, get much bounce from the foam or anything. And I was putting a lot of force through it. But in that session, I was running 330, 340 a K pace and just trying to go, and just didn't really feel suited for that. And I still don't think it's that well suited at the other end of the spectrum either. So it ends up being a shoe designed to do lots of things, and it does do lots of things, but I don't know if it does them that well for me at any point. And it's just a lot of weight. The big stack shoe like this, you expect a bit of weight, but actually what the Superblast has shown in this area is that it doesn't have to be that heavy. If you've got a big shoe like this, if Saucony had made the midsole all from Power Run PB, maybe it would have been a much lighter shoe, a more enjoyable experience, that kind of thing. They obviously made these decisions. It's more stable. It's a pretty stable shoe, but I don't think the Superblast is unstable because it's so wide. So yeah, it ended up a shoe that is okay, but I struggle to think when I'd want to pull it out and use it compared to other shoes. I'd also show, actually, one last thing would be that the not having an outsole is a bit of a strange thing for a shoe like this. Like, you get a bit more feel for the ground, but you've not really got any feel for the ground because it's such a big shoe. It's okay on grip and durability, but it isn't as good on grip and durability as a shoe with an outsole. So it's a really expensive shoe that you can use for lots of running that doesn't have an outsole. That seems a strange decision to me. It's not like Asics put loads of rubber on the outside of Superblast, but there is enough there that will protect the foam a bit and help with longevity. And these are really expensive shoes. You're meant to use for lots of different runs. You want longevity, really.
Well, we're well aware of my issues with running shoes at the moment. The back section I like to destroy on any super shoe. I've taken that down quite heavily on here. Yeah. So I've taken the tread off of the bottom of that. So, and that's probably only in about 90k after doing this. So
I'd love to know how fast you'd be if you weren't scuffing your feet as you ran.
So would I. Yeah, but that's not looking good on that shoe.
All right, let's come on to the verdict then. We've got two big high stack shoes, big super trainer style shoes with big price tags. Tom, which are you getting if you're choosing one of these two shoes?
Well, I'll do this in two ways. One is if you offered me both these shoes, I would go the Superblast straight away, no questions asked. It's the easiest choice out of two pairs of shoes I'd probably have. It's just better, more comfortable, more versatile. I enjoy running in this shoe. It's a holiday shoe. You can take it away and you can do all your runs in it. Just really like this shoe. Kinvara Pro, I don't pick it up for any runs basically, so it's an easy pick for me. And the other side of that is coming down to price, but these are both two very expensive shoes. So when you're paying that much money for a pair of shoes, you want it to be really, really good, because there's a lot of competition out there now and there are some very expensive shoes out there that do a good job, but you've got to pay the money for them. I just don't think you get it from the Kinvara Pro. I think the Superblast, even the Superblast, I would say is probably a bit too pricey for what it is. But it's out of these two, if I was spending that much money, I'd want the Superblast.
Yeah, I suppose that the gap in price is probably a bit bigger in the US, where pricing's got a bit crazy here in the UK, and it's a fair bit cheap. But if you are looking purely on price and starting to find you think the Superblast is too expensive, there are a lot of other shoes I'll be getting ahead of the Kinvara Pro that are cheaper, which we've talked about in our full review. But so I don't need to go into detail here. But yeah, like I said, you're spending a lot of money on these shoes to get a shoe that some people will never be worth them. Like, we love the Superblast. We've waxed lyrical about it many times in videos, but it's still not to say that you should expect a life-changing experience by buying the shoe. It is a very, very good daily trainer. It does everything really well, and I really love using it. But for some people, that will not be worth $200, 200 quid. That will never be worth that. And you can find great shoes for a lot less than that. But if you are spending a lot of money, the Superblast will give you a very good experience. Whereas I think if you spend a lot of money on the Kinvara Pro, I don't think it really delivers very much. I think I'd prefer to use the Superblast for any kind of run, really. So if you're pulling in a big max stack shoe here, Superblast is my preference for sure. It doesn't have the plate, but that doesn't really in any way limit its performance compared to the Kinvara Pro. You just got, I think, a better foam and a better geometry and setup to the shoe. That means it moves a lot better at any kind of pace, and part of that is just the fact it's so much lighter, I think. And you get the outsole at the end of it as well. So yeah, all round I go for Superblast. And if you are really worried about price, I wouldn't get the Kinvara Pro. I'd get something else.